Friends, hello, how's it going? We have done it. This week is over. Turkey week is over in the stock market. This may go on record as one of the biggest, best weeks in the stock market history of Thanksgiving. This was an excellent week in the market. Completely, I mean, you want to talk about two different worlds here with, stock markets last week compared to this week. I mean, you're talking about, the upside down world. I mean, literally, if you're watching Stranger Things this week, could not be correlation more there. So this week in the market from Monday, obviously Thursday being closed, Thanksgiving, but opening back up today until 1 o'clock on Friday here. The market's been banging. We have, and it took about 2-3 days here of market running here, but we started to see smaller cap stocks starting to get a little more attention, which tells us that investors are getting a lot more comfortable with the market. They're getting a lot more trusting with the market because right now, from what it looks like, we could see what looks like we're going to get a rate cut here. But two, the sentiment out there is good, with a lot of things. And we're starting to see big money, little money, middle money. Everyone's kind of piling back into the market here. And this is great. This is great. This is a great thing. And so, friends, I hope you're well. I really, really do mean that. I think everyone's still eating leftovers. Just plowed down a bunch of deviled eggs, doing my part here. But let's get into it. I want to talk about Big Bear again, talk about Palantir again. I just talked about them, but they had big days. They had big days here. So, man, what do we talk about first here? It looks like Tom Lee is going to get his 7,000 point range on the SP 500. It looks like this is coming down the hatch here. Okay, we're but 150 points away, and this is where we were before the market crashed. So this could be a banging December, man. Oh my God, this could really be it. I do think that Palantir and Big Bear here are offering a lot more to investors than what they think could possibly be at their fingertips right now. I really do mean that. Looking at the Mag 7, and obviously this is just 4 out of the Mag 7, but, we saw these stocks right here do really well on pushback here this week. I mean, Tesla obviously is just a beast in its own. Nvidia is struggling around this once. I mean, I hate to say the word struggling, but obviously it was up a lot more. Now it's back in this high 170, but still, I mean, Nvidia's already said like, hey, next quarterlies they're going to be crazy. We've already got some rough estimates here, and it's gonna be wild. Apple, I didn't put Amazon here, but Amazon, they're gonna kill quarterlies again here, wrapping up the year, the fourth quarterlies, because New Year's, the new Apple phone plus Apple products. Amazon, I mean, who's not buying stuff from Amazon right now? It's Black Friday, then we've got Cyber Monday and Christmas in general, and then Meta. Meta makes a lot of money off the ad revenue, and ad revenue kicks up a lot during the holidays. So they're all doing fantastic. Tesla, we'll see where Tesla lands here, but I think Tesla's going to be more or less, really changing the landscape of AI and, what we're going to look at here this year with technology, what's about to happen over there. So, friends, those are some things that we're watching here in the market. It's a day-by-day situation, but undoubtedly this has been a fantastic week in the market. Oh my God. Let's get right into Big Bear here. So last Friday, Big Bear, I was really proud of it because it held this high $5 range. And then Monday, we started to tick back up in $6 range. I was like, okay, we're getting some life back here. And then throughout the week, it stayed pretty hefty and some hefty numbers here. Then Wednesday we busted up into this high 20 zone. Thursday came, market closed, but then today we are back up into this, almost at 640. We'll just round it up, go into 640 zone. I mean, that's amazing. That is great. That is so great. Even Rich Tech had a really good week, good day today too. But this is telling us that across the board, obviously I can't go over every, small cap stock here, but small cap stocks are starting, lower cheaper stocks here, essentially what I'm saying, are coming back. They're starting to get more attention. And Big Bear here, obviously is doing phenomenal with holding solid ground. The fact that Big Bear held a lot of this position here with the last 2-3 weeks of the market being such a unsteady situation, bag of this is happening, that's happening, what do we do here, what's going on here. This is fantastic that Big Bear held the $5 range and then moved up back up into the $6 range. This is completely going to tell us that, more than not, this is pretty obvious to see. It's not like I'm like a guru here or anything, but when we get closer to this rate cut happening in the market, and it does happen, this is a clear indication that, Big Bear can easily swing back up into $7. Now, where it goes from there, we'll see here. But, if you're trying to swing trade this, I think a lot of us are seeing what's going on here. This is normal behavior with Big Bear. It's nothing new. We've seen, Big Bear really survive a lot of deep, dark moments this year. I mean, from the beginning of the year when, the company was having lawsuit situations come up, and every article, there was articles every day being written about it, about finances over the last few years, and then DeepSeek situation, and just what we went through here in the past few weeks. Big Bear has undoubtedly survived a lot of drama this year. So there's not a lot that I can say that's new here. We're just watching a company do very well here. It's a really weird situation because Big Bear, the stock, like I've said this time and time again, but I'm not worried about the stock price. It's fun to watch, obviously, and see what Big Bear can hold here. But, I know I get a comment all the time. I see comments. People are like, when do you think Big Bear's going back to $10? When do you think Big Bear can make it to $15? Those prices, I definitely think, are realistic in the future, but Big Bear's got to give investors something. They've got to give investors, it's got to give investors something more here. Investors want to see a really big deal here secured, some kind of defense deal, something for a lot of money, or a really big quarterly. Now, obviously, one of those things shows up first here, and that's the deal. This is why Big Bear is such a wild card still. It's very much a wild card because, and this is where Kevo said what he said in the memo line with Q3 here, saying, Big Bear is still in this place where they could see border security deal, just a general defense deal, and more deals in general. That apparently it seems like they're working on. But, imagine anywhere from this day forward if we saw that Big Bear announce, like, hey, we just got a $200, $300, $400 million contract. Those are very real out there. When you see defense contracts, most of the time they're pretty significant, they're pretty chunky, and they last for a long, lengthy time. So it doesn't mean if Big Bear receives, a $300 million contract tomorrow that they're gonna get that all in one deal. It'll be set out over a amount of time, which is great because it can compound into other deals as well. But still, imagine that would be a radical moment for Big Bear as a company. It would change so much of what is going on here, undoubtedly. So, friends, I'll talk more probably about Big Bear and some stuff, and kind of get a a mindset where we're going into next week, kind of track what's going on here. Whether you are swing trading, long-term trading, option trading, day trading, Big Bear, it has something for everybody. And one thing, if you're option trading with Big Bear, it's proven to work for the red and the green. Big Bear is surviving these moments in the market, and we've pretty much seen the worst of the worst of what it can do at this point. And the survival of Big Bear right now is definitely in this high $5 range and trying to push back up into a $6 range. So if the market kind of just keeps the pace of what we're dealing with right now, I definitely think Big Bear can easily hold $6 and push into a low $7 zone here, within the next 2 weeks, undoubtedly. So, wow, what a change of events. Just amazing. So Palantir, once again, Palantir, I still think is a buy. I really do mean that. And there's going to be people that hear that and go like that you're ridiculous. I get that. Palantir, when the market closed today, it jumped right under 170. It was just a few nickels shy. But we saw it jump up here today and out the market essentially at this 169 and some change zone. So this is phenomenal. I definitely think that Palantir, before we know it, probably by January, February, could easily be back up in a 180, 190 zone. You have to think about what Palantir made it to prior, just right before the Q3s. It made it to I think it was like 214, 215. That was pre-market when it did that, but it's still, Palantir hit that. There's people willing to pay that amount of money for it. They'll pay it again, undoubtedly. I do think that Palantir is going to continue to do what it's been doing. It's going to capture deals. It's going to execute quarterlies at a very high rate and really devastate the bears. With Q4 that will be coming out here to end out the year with Palantir, we already know it's going to be better than Q3. So, that's that. The question is, can they add more here into January, even December? We've still got December to get through. So, imagine if Palantir was to get another deal going into December here. Imagine what that would be like. That would be, oh my God, that'd be amazing. That'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. I don't think it's so much, what Palantir is going to collapse to here, because I see people saying like, well, Palantir is going to go to 130. It's going to go. I saw somebody say it's going to go to $50 here. I was like, I'm not so sure about that, but what we're seeing here, whenever Palantir collapses here, it is a feeding frenzy. It's being bought up dramatically, and that is going to be the continuation of what's going to happen here. It's going to fall, something's going to happen, it's going to hit quarterlies, they're going to be great, and then there's going to be a huge sell-off, and then guess what? It's just going to start to be bought up again. Boom, 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 boom. That is pretty much what we've been dealing with even since June of this year when it hit 150. But I mean, essentially, we've been dealing with that since last year. If you look at what we have just gone through here, last year. So let's take this back here. November 29th of last year, 2004, Palantir was $67. Okay, now it didn't hit $100 until going into February, of course, quarterlies. So we have had such an amazing year with this stock. It is quite unreal. I remember when Palantir it finally hit $15. We were like, hey, that was a big day, because Palantir sat around, at one point it went down to $7 in 2022. But when it finally got up into this $10, $12, $15 range, it was like, okay. But a lot of that too was, it was the defense deals were starting to pick up a lot. I really think people need to hold this. They need to hold this. This isn't a matter of, do you think the well's going to run dry? The well's not running dry, and that needs to be the top concern, important message in the back of investors' mind right there, because when you have a company that is saying, they're letting you know, it's like what NVIDIA's doing right now. NVIDIA's going like, hey, we've already processed a lot of the numbers and orders. We are projected next quarterly to be almost $70 billion. That's what they just said here when the last quarterly came out, Q3. Okay, well, Palantir's doing the same thing. They're not lying to people. This is where I get kind of upset with investors, because investing can be easier than what people think it is. It really can. When CEOs talk, listen to them. Listen to them. When Alex Karp is talking, listen to what he's saying. He's going to leave breadcrumbs. When Q3s came out with Palantir, they already told you, like, hey, we've already processed a lot. We kind of know where we're going to be here by Q4, what's going to be on the quarterlies. They're going to be bigger, which means Palantir is going to jump up in price once again, more than likely. I don't know when we get to a place when Palantir holds 200. I think that's really where we're at right now. That is the big wall right now. When does Palantir secure $200. When do we hold $200 here? Is it Q4? Is Q4 so amazing and so mouth-watering that it holds $200, and maybe we start off the new year essentially by March, April, deeper into the new year, holding Palantir at this 205, 210 zone, and on a really bad market sell-off day, maybe 180, 170 is the sell-off, and then we climb right back up. Essentially where we're at right now. I am curious to see 2026, does Palantir play around? I have 160 to 250, but, by Q1 of 2026, that's going to be a very defining moment for Palantir, because obviously Q4 is very important, but breaking into the new year here with a new quarterly into a new year, it is going to be such a big moment for Palantir to say like, hey, yeah, these quarterlies too, they're amazing. They're amazing. What you have to understand right now too, people are thinking that a lot of these deals are going to bleed off. Well, they're not. They're not yet, because Palantir is keeping a lot of its customers. That's what's so interesting too. A lot of these aren't just one-hit deals here. They're compounding. They keep going. So this is why quarterlies are growing massively, because they're just making this big sandwich of deals. And this is why quarterlies are so aggressive each time we see them, because companies are saying like, hey, they're making us money. They're making the process better. Our business runs smoother. Let's keep paying them. What do we got to lose? We're making more money. It's a wild thing what you're watching right now. It really is. But for you as an investor, how much crazier does this get? We've already seen crazy. Who's to say crazy doesn't stop? Does 300 show up in 2026 with Palantir? Do we see $300? This time next year, are we going to be looking at $300 with Palantir? I don't know. But I'm definitely not going to bet against it. I know it's overpriced. I know it's ridiculous. I know it trades over X times what it should. I know. It's been doing that. And it's going to keep doing that as long as they keep getting deals. And as long as they keep pushing and innovating. Palantir, and this is what I'll say this and I'll shut up, but one thing that Palantir's been doing here aggressively is seeking out deals. When Q3 came out here, Alex Cart let it be known that essentially he's been walking into CEOs, buildings, offices, and saying like, hey, we want to work for you. We're going to save you money. We're going to make you money. So in 2026, are we going to see more of a sales force with Palantir? We've been hearing about it. It's been talked about quite a bit this year. It's very interesting to think about. Friends, I want to wish all of you the best of luck. I think, we've had a really good year. This is so fun right now. It's so fun. Man, what is going to happen going into December? Wow. Friends, you have a great day, night, afternoon, wherever you're at. I really do mean that, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye, everyone.